Hey everybody, I'm Scott Weichel. You're listening to My Kind of Country. Always a pleasure to have a gentleman of this magnitude on my show. He is a fantastic entertainer. They call him America's Lost Rocker. He's in the Rockabilly Hall of Fame, and he's got a brand new album out, a tribute to Hank Williams. And we're going to talk about that album tonight and play a whole bunch of the songs for you. And not only is he a fantastic artist and human being, but I'm very happy to say that he is one of my dearest friends. And I'm so glad to have him on the air with me tonight. It's my pleasure to welcome Al Hendrix to My Kind of Country. Al, how you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing great, Scott. It's just a pleasure for you to find time to have me on your show because I know you interview a lot of people and in the business, and for you to pick me to be on your show today is just a pleasure and unforgettable as far as I'm concerned, especially at my age. So,
well, man, it is my honor, and I want to wish you a happy birthday. You got a birthday coming up here real shortly, and I know you just had a big birthday bash and the big 85 this year, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've been blessed to live this long, and I'm still recording. I'm still performing, and still got a lot of things going planned for next year. And I know you're going to be part of some of it, and we'll be back, I think, on your show, My Kind of Country, which is probably, in my opinion, one of the best country music radio shows in the business. And with you at the helm, it's only going to get better.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that, and it makes my job very easy when I have people like you on my show. It's I just sit back and let you do your thing, you know.
I know you. Thank you, Scott. We appreciate that.
Well, you betcha. I was so excited. I was among the first people to get to hear this album, and I'm so glad to present it to my listeners tonight. It is called a tribute to the great Hank Williams, Lonesome Whistle. It's a brand new CD from Al Hendrix, and folks, you can pick it up at CD Baby, and you can also stream it on Spotify and just about wherever great music is heard on the internet. You can get it, and I'm so tickled to present some of these great songs for you tonight. Al, first question for you is why Hank Williams?
Well, anyone who purchases this album can look at the insert inside the album and find the story, the true story of why I did decide to do this particular album for the great Hank Williams. When I was just a kid, teenager, Hank Williams was my idol, and I performed in a countywide contest in Midland, Texas. I was living in Odessa, Texas at the time, sister city to Midland, which was about 30 miles from where Odessa was located. And I performed there with the great Leon Payne's band backing me up back in those days. It was 1952, and the song I did at the venue was "Lonesome Whistle," which was one of my favorite songs that Hank had recorded, and I've always loved that particular song. In fact, the album is called "Lonesome Whistle." So the true story is in the insert that you can read about. He's always been my idol. I always loved country, but when Elvis Presley came on the scene, it kind of changed my mind to look into that direction because that's where the money was back in those days. Country music kind of went into a slump in the late 50s, so I started doing rockabilly and a lot of Elvis Presley's music. Kind of made a detour there for somewhat a few years at a time. I went on to record on Tally Records. That was Lewis Tally and Fuzzy Owens in Bakersfield. The Bakersfield Sound was going on at that time. I was part of that, and I was on Cousin Herb Henson's Trading Post Gang in Bakersfield while I was living there. I lived there for about 5 years. I made a good friend of Buck Owens over at the famous Blackboard Cafe where we would perform together for a number of years while I was living in the Bakersfield area. So that's the story behind it. And I finally, when I came up to this point of my life, I'd never really thought about doing this. And I started listening to Hank Williams on the internet and listening to his music that I hadn't heard for quite some time. I mean, he had songs that I hadn't even heard of that I didn't cover until I listened to the internet, and a lot of his music I didn't even know about. So I thought I would put out my own album, congratulate him for the great job he did. He only had about 6 years of fame when he was living, and he died at 29 years old in January of 53. And I thought, I'd like to do a tribute album for him. And for him, I think he was the one that really got me in the business. I wanted to sing like him. I didn't try to imitate him, but I had my own style. But the preference to Hank Williams compared to all the rest of the different singers in the business at that time that were on the Grand Ole Opry, my family would listen to radio every Saturday night on the Grand Ole Opry. My mother would make homemade hamburgers and French fries, and we would listen to the Grand Ole Opry. It was a Duca Paducah and Grandpa Jones and Cousin Minnie Pearl, Red Foley, Ernest Tubb. That's when the Grand Ole Opry was really the Grand Ole Opry. So I grew up with that, and I said, well, I want to do something for Hank Williams since I did. I really loved the guy, and I loved his music. And before I leave here, I thought I would do this tribute to him, and hope people that listen to it would appreciate the music and the songs that we selected. He has so many songs that it was hard to pick out 14 songs on our album, but I think we did a pretty good job. And I think you approved of that, didn't you, Scott?
I certainly did, and I think you did an outstanding job of the songs that you picked. And you mentioned, some of his lesser-known songs. You've got a couple on here. There was one, I'll be honest, I didn't remember. I had to actually go look it up, and it's actually the lead-off track. It's called "I've Been a Fool About You." Yeah, that was a good song that he had done, and I really liked it when I first heard it. I did select that with my engineer, Jimmy Accardi, who's probably one of the best engineers in the business, bar none. And we both thought that would be a good song to put in the album. Well, I agree. And of course, you've got the, the signature songs, Cold, Cold Heart and Hey Good Looking. And you just, you've got to have those in there. You Win Again. I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry. And, but I'll tell you, the way that you did these songs is just incredible. There's an authenticity here. And I don't know if it was a planned thing, but honestly, I really feel that he almost channels through you with your vocals on some of these songs. It's just really amazing to me to hear how authentically you did these songs.
Well, I didn't want to sound like I was imitating his voice. I didn't do that on purpose, because I try to use my own style and put a little rockabilly into it to make it different from the 50s when Hank, 40s and 50s, when Hank was singing and recording. I didn't want to have people listen and say, well, Al's trying to imitate Hank Williams. No one can do that. So I did my own style. Jimmy and I did our best to put this together and master the 14 songs. I think we did. Jimmy, I had some of the best musicians backing me up on this album, bar none. And from Nashville, Tennessee, you couldn't find any of the best ones that I had, especially a steel guitar player that I had backing me up, Larry Nixon. And it was really, really, really a good album. When we finalized the product, And I'm glad you approved that. My main concern when I did this was that you would probably be the first. I knew you were going to be the first to hear it, but I sent it to you as soon as I finished with it. And your approval was a blessing. I'm telling you, I was holding my breath.
Well,
I know.
I was anxious to hear it, and I was so glad when it got in the mailbox. And I mean, I sat down, and I'm not going to lie to you. There's a certain song. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But there's a certain song I went to first. But I'll tell you, the whole album from start to finish is great. And folks, it's on Hummingbird Records. You can get this at cdbaby.com. We will have that information on our Facebook page. It's Al Hendrix, Lonesome Whistle, a tribute to Hank Williams. We're going to take a little break here, and we're going to play a few of these songs. Let's play Lonesome Whistle, and I've Been a Fool About You, and Cold, Cold Heart, and Hey Good Look, and we'll get these rolling. And then we're going to come back and talk to Al some more about this fabulous project. So, Al, stay with us.
I'll be here.
Album from Al Hendrix, Lonesome Whistle, a tribute to the great Hank Williams, and what amazing songs those are. Al, you've just really knocked it out of the park here, my friend.
Well, I tried to do my best not to mess it up. At my age, my voice was still holding together better than most singers at that age. I've been blessed. The Lord's given me a good voice at my 85 years here on this green earth of His, and blessed me with the talent and the backup musicians and my engineer Jimmy Accardi, and just getting to know people like you, Scott, to be a good friend of mine, and to promote my music like you've been doing over the years and helping me to establish a good listening audience out there on your radio show, My Kind of Country. You're just a blessing, and I can't thank you enough for that, Scott.
Well, it's my honor. And it works both ways. I'm so blessed and to get to know you and get to know your music even more. I've been a fan for many years, but to be able to really get to know you and get to know your music has been a blessing for me. And it's always a thrill when I get to present this to people for the first time and hopefully turn them on to some great Al Hendrix music.
Thank you, sir.
Well, tell me about the cover art on here. It's a very interesting portraits of you and Hank on the cover. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, a good disc jockey friend of mine, another one of the greatest entertainers up here where I live in Auburn, California, Northern California, and up in Grass Valley, there's a disc jockey who I became friends with years ago, and he's no longer a disc jockey. He started drawing portraits. He likes to draw portraits of people that he considers kind of like more popular than others that you would consider trying to do a portrait of. And he took one of my pictures, my production promotion pictures that I did. I took this picture back in 57, I think it was 57 or 58, and I've used it over the years. And he took that portrait picture and drew a copy of it, and that's the one you see on the front of the cover of our album. And then he just recently, before I finished the album, and he did the same thing with Hank Williams. And I said, well, I'd like to put the portrait of both of us on the front cover, and so people can see. His name is Olaf Jen, and he's from the Netherlands.
Oh, wow.
And I'll tell you, this guy, he loves my music, plays my music a lot, but he's no longer up there at KVMR in Nevada City. That's the station that he worked with at the time I got to know him. But that's how the two portraits were put on the front cover because of him, and I just want to mention his name because he's Olaf Jin. He's just a terrific guy, very likable, very friendly, and very cordial. And I just want to let people know that he's the guy that did the artist work on the front cover.
Oh, that's great. That's really cool. And of course, we have a picture of that on our Facebook page. You can check that out, folks, and you'll get that when you get the CD, without a doubt. There are also some article. There's an article that I wrote that's in the current issue of the Ion Indie magazine, and you can go to ionindie.magazine.com and read a review I did on this album and read some more about Al's career and his history, and some great pictures in there as well. We appreciate Kiki Plesha and those folks that included that article in their online magazine. We'll have that link on our Facebook page as well for you. And also, Al, a couple weeks ago I had a lady by the name of Cherie Homer on my show, and she wrote a book called Under the Influence of Classic Country, and there is a very nice chapter in there about Al Hendrix.
Yeah, she called me a couple of years ago. I didn't know who she was, and she wanted my permission to write an article about my career in her book that she was putting together at the time. And of course I did agree to that, because every little bit that you can find that people want to help you with your career and let them know that you're out there and still alive among the land of the living. I look at it that way anyway. But she was kind enough to want to have me as part of that new book that she put out. I think there's, I can't remember the exact number of artists that's in the book. I have a copy. Well, she sent me an autographed copy, and I bought several copies myself.
Yeah, she told
several people that I know.
She told me that, yeah. And there are 36 artists in the book. It's a fabulous,
36.
Yeah, fabulous book.
35 or 36.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yep, and folks, you can listen to the interview that we did on our YouTube channel, and also the book is available at Amazon.com. It's a fantastic read; you'll really enjoy it. And of course, we're talking to the great Al Hendrix today about his brand new album, Lonesome Whistle, a tribute to the great Hank Williams. And we've played some of those songs, and we're going to play some more here in a few minutes. But Al, I wanted to talk to you about some of the other songs on this great project. 14 songs. Tell you, that's a pretty ambitious undertaking to put an album together like this.
Well, I was talking to my engineer Jimmy, and I had at first. I wanted to make up my mind about how I wanted to issue this album. I was going to do it in two parts. Volume 1 with 10 songs, or 11, or 12, and then Part 2, Volume 2, with 10 or 12 more songs, which would be an overwhelming undertaking to do that. The reason for that thought was to try to get as many of his top-notch songs that Hank recorded that became famous, so I wouldn't miss any of the big ones. But as we discussed the matter, it might have been too much to put out at one time. People get tired of hearing the same thing over and over and over. I didn't want to overwhelm people with too much Hank Williams music, especially with my voice, which wasn't anything like his voice. But so we decided to just put out an album, pick about 14 or 15 songs, some of his best, and I think we decided the best way to go on that, which was more professional and not so extreme, and letting the audience listen to 14. When we finish with the 14, I think the people would still like to hear a few more, but that's the way we want to finish it, so people would still want to hear some more Hank Williams music. So I think we made the right decision.
Absolutely, and this is a great way for folks to discover, some of the younger people to discover Hank Williams, and then go back and listen to more of his songs. But this is, there's so many fun songs on here. Window Shopping and Moving On Over and Honky Tonkin'. Honky Tonkin' especially is one of my favorites on this project, and I would wager that it's one of yours too.
Yeah, I didn't want to leave that out. That's Hank did such a great job on that. So I was trying to be careful enough not to sound like I was trying to imitate his version of it. I think I succeeded in that. I think people are going to like the music, the backup music on the song, Honky Tonkin', and I think they're going to like the music behind it. We did a good job putting the right musicians behind these songs, and careful enough to make sure they're as good as the ones that you'd find in Nashville. So I think that's one song that we were very pleased with recording, and the outcome of it was very favorable for us. And of course, there's several others. We have some chorus behind it, and I think you're going to get a variety of music and background music on each one of these songs that we chose.
It sounds great, and my hat's off to Jimmy Accardi, and I think the pairing with you and Jimmy was a gift from God, because he really has produced some great music for you in the last few years, and I'm so glad to hear these recordings.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Scott, because I think God did put us together years ago. We've come up working on our 8th album together. Jimmy is extremely gifted in electric lead guitar talent that he's played over the years. In the 70s, Jimmy was living in New York, and Chubby Checker was looking for an electric lead guitar man to tour Europe with, and I think he listened to or interviewed about almost 100 electric lead guitar pickers back then, and he chose Jimmy Accardi, to go with him to Europe with Little Richard and the Platters, and they were over there for a year entertaining, and Jimmy was real close to Chubby Checker. Chubby's still out there performing.
Oh yeah, he's still out there doing the twist, man.
No, the twist, is huge, and people still like hearing that thing, and Jimmy's part of that. So Chubby came up this way, Northern California, did some shows up here in our area, and he got to meet Jimmy and have a reunion, and very, very, very nice to see Chubby Checker after all these years. And Chubby looks really good. I mean, he's taking care of himself.
Yeah, he still looks and sounds great. He can still twist, and bless his heart, that's great.
Yeah. So, a little bit about Jimmy Accardi, and when we got together, a friend of mine put us together years ago, and we've been together. We're still working on some new projects for this next year, and I've got a Christmas album that the listening audience for my kind of country might be interested in looking at. It's called Rockabilly Christmas, and so I think it's going to be successful this year. We're only about 2 months away. I can't believe Christmas is almost here.
Yeah, it's coming right up. Just over a month actually now. Jeez, it's coming up fast, and yeah, of course, folks, you can get all this great music. CDBaby.com has got Al's music there. Heart and Soul, another great album that we did a feature on the last time that you were on the show, and great music that you're doing with Jimmy, no doubt.
Real well.
Yeah, well, I'm very blessed, and I want to thank you for always keeping me in the loop and let me know about your projects. And when you first let me know that you were working on this Hank Williams tribute, the first words out of my mouth, we touched a little bit on this earlier, but I want to talk about this song now. I said, I hope you do. I'll never get out of this world alive, because I can just hear Al Hendrix doing this song. And lo and behold, it's on the album. And I'm not going to lie, it was the first song that I played when I got this thing in the mail. And I just want to thank you for including that song and tell you what a fantastic job you did on it.
Well, you're a kind-hearted man. All I can say is I would not have left that song out. I talked to you about it. You said, are you going to do this particular song? I said, I'm going to do it. It's one of my favorites. And I think Hank did a great job on it. I couldn't duplicate anything close to what he did on it. But I think we covered it pretty good, got the music right, and the sound came out real good. And Jimmy Carter did a great job on backup music and all, and the production of it and his engineering talent. I'll never get out of this world alive. Well, I mean, the title tells the story.
Yeah, truer words have never been spoken,
And I was so happy to hear that when you did listen to it, that you were very pleased with our version of it.
Well, it set the tone for me, and I knew that the rest of the album was going to be fabulous, and you did not disappoint. And I hope that my listeners pick this album up. It's just great music. Again, it's called Lonesome Whistle, a tribute to Hank Williams. Al Hendrix. You can pick this up at cdbaby.com. It's also on Spotify, and we'll have that information on our Facebook page. And we're going to play some more of these great songs for you. Window Shopping, Moving On Over, Honky Tonk, and then we're going to end up with I'll Never Get Out of This World Alive. And Al, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be on my show, and it's a pleasure to share your music with my listeners.
Well, I think a lot about different people that have helped me over the years to contribute to my catalog of the music I've accomplished and music that I've enjoyed doing over the years, and the blessings that the Lord has given me to live this long and still be able to perform and sing, and I've got shows coming up here in Sacramento later on next year when the weather gets better. We're planning quite a few engagements for next year in the Sacramento area. So for me to be blessed to talk to you over the telephone at my age, I'm blessed to be anywhere. That goes.
Well, I'll tell you, Al, you are just putting out some fabulous music, and I'm so glad to hear all this great stuff and so many great things going on for you. And please keep us posted, and anytime I can help promote, I'm here to do it, and we're always happy to get your music on My Kind of Country.
Thank you, Scott. I just can't thank you enough for the time.
All right. Well, hey, we're going to play some more of this great music from this album. And Al, thanks again for being on My Kind of Country.
You're welcome, Scott. Anytime, buddy. And never stop rocking. That'll keep you young and wild.